Welcome everybody back to the Wall Street Influencers Trading Summit. If you are not able to stay for the entire presentation, no worries. We are recording today's event and we will email out everybody who registered for the event tomorrow morning. So keep an eye out for that email. Throughout the presentation today, if you do have any questions, please feel free to drop them inside the chat box. Our presenter will try his best to get to them throughout the talk. If not, there will be time for question and answer at the end of the presentation. Our final speaker for today is Rob Mitchell of Amex Research and Trading. This is also his second time speaking with us, so it's great to have you back, Rob. Rob has been a trading system developer for nearly 3 decades. He is a proven researcher, trading educator, presenter, and mentor, helping others to achieve their dreams as a trader and in life. Please help in welcoming Rob as he shares the smart super trend secrets with us today. Take it over, Rob.
Thanks. Hey, can you guys hear me all right? Everybody hear me all right? Thanks for that nice introduction. Everybody hear me all right?
I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right. Hey, guys, thanks for coming in today and taking your Friday afternoon to come learn a little bit about what I do. Today, I'm going to cover some things with the way you can look at trends, yeah, and also the concepts that I'll be doing can be applied to just about anything, yeah. So what I'm going to cover today, smart super trend secrets, the kind of thinking that's behind it. I want you to think in terms of the kind of thinking behind it that you can apply to just about anything that you do in your trading. First off, past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. There's a risk of loss trading futures, so don't use the grocery money for trading. Yeah. Today's topics, trading concepts at work. That's actually what I was just talking about. You can take the ideas here and you can apply them if you build systems or you think in terms of your trading or whatever. Take these concepts and make them your own on however you decide to use it. And if you need some tools to do that, we can help you with that too. Secrets of smart super trend signals. We're going to cover different kinds of signals. We're going to talk about how you can use the kinds of readings that we're going to look at for your trade management. Do I expect the trend that I'm looking at to continue, or is it more likely to stop? These kinds of things. And the notion also, in addition to the prior thing I said about context, using indicators as a context and what I might call a probability zone, and not just as a signal. A lot of people think of indicators giving them signals. Well, I like to think of an indicator as providing a context for what's happening in the bigger picture. Yeah, and so we'll cover some things that that work in that kind of way as well. The techniques you're about to learn can work in any reasonably volatile market, and also with other indicators than I might use today. Yeah. I don't go hog wild recording every single word I'm going to talk about. I've been doing this for a long time, so I just let it roll off my tongue. Yeah, I'm going to show you a bunch of stuff. We got about 50 minutes here, and so take some notes because we're going to jam through a good bit of stuff pretty quick. Yeah, we're going to cover years, things that took me decades to learn in 50 minutes. Yeah, so many traders have different needs. Some traders, in the last webinar was being discussed about risk-reward ratio. Some traders might like to have a super high win percent. Some are more comfortable with a lower win percent and bigger trades, things like that. Yeah. The concepts and techniques and methods I'm going to show you can be mixed and matched in different ways, so you can get stacked probabilities. So we're going to talk a little bit about how signals line up, or some people in the past have talked about confluence of signals. That's another way of thinking about that, where the probabilities just get staggeringly high that the trade's going to go in your direction. Yeah, you can trade in a manner if you take the kinds of concepts that we're talking about, you can put them together in a way that's consistent with the way that you like to trade. And that's super important. Finding your holy grail, super, super important. And some of the things that we cover today are the kinds of questions that determine the quality of how that unfolds for you in the future. Yeah. So smart super trend for high win percentages. A main system concept we're going to be working with today is the notion that order flow leads price action. You know, there's very often buying or selling pressure before that move comes. In other words, it keys you in to what's happening. Yeah, and so the indications that we're going to look at today work with that kind of a notion. Well, I'm going to show you how to apply bar level order flow readings to predict price movement. And then we're going to also look at it over several bars in a couple of different contexts. Yeah. So examples of order flow systems include, but are not limited to, what we're going to show you today, Smart Super Trend and the Trap Trader Oscillator. These are entirely different ways of looking at order flow and in different scales as well. Looking at order flow, like I said, over a relatively large number of bars where you're using order flow as support and resistance, or if you're using order flow in immediate buying or selling pressure. Yeah. And so we're going to cover some themes and variations of these kinds of things just with the Smart Super Trend. I'm not taking it any further than that today. Yeah. So some examples of Smart Super Trend systems and rules for trading them. Yeah. Is what we're going to do. SST for short, you know, and it shows the immediate order flow at the bar level and prints it in the price panel on the chart. And then you can also use it, I'm going to show you, you can use it as key support and resistance levels where you retag those kinds of areas and depart from them, creating a kind of a trap. You know? So I've got a bunch of different concepts that we're working with here, okay? Higher or lower order flow, you know? Order flow where you get ticks of order flow inside the bar, showing strong buying or selling pressure inside of a bar. And then we're going to look at it outside of the bar, which I call a SST hook or a straddle, where the price trades both sides of prior strong order flow for the trade to continue in the original direction. Very high probability kind of stuff here. The Smart Super Trend inside or outside the bar, which is, we just kind of covered that. And then adding other indications to achieve probability stacking, as I said, using SST for trade entry or for trade management. And then we're going to cover finally the room to grow concept. That's where you have like open zones in the order flow, you know, where it just goes out in there. So concept number one that we're going to work with, the SST, Smart Super Trend, tick inside the bar or outside the bar. Smart Super Trend inside the bar are predicted at 75 to 90% as a continuation pattern. It's continuing in the same direction that price is going in. Yeah. So this is a strong order flow inside of a bar, predicting that there will be another bar at about the 90% level. Yeah, I put 75 to 90% there because it may work a little differently in different markets. In crude oil and in the stock indexes, works like a champ, pretty close to 90%. Yeah. And especially so if you just take the first occurrence of it, yeah, the first occurrence. And so what's the kind of thinking behind this kind of thing? You've got a bar level indication that it's continuing in the same, that the market's continuing in the same direction that it's going in. What does that do? It gives you some room for your risk management. You know you've got order flow momentum and the price is highly likely to continue in that direction. And so you don't get into a trade where it's immediately going against you. Yeah. For me, I really like that kind of stuff. Yeah. I really love it when a trade doesn't come back into me at all. Yeah. So you can also use that if you're already in a trade, you can use it for trade management, you know, or continuing to hold. And if you just keep getting the tick marks, as I'm going to show you on a chart in a minute, you just keep holding, keep holding, keep holding, keep holding, and get caught in some really big trades. Yeah. So then there's the SST outside the bar. It comes in two forms: a signal or a straddle or a hook. And I'm just covering some of this up front because we're going to get to some charts in a minute, and I just want to get this language kind of out there. Yeah. So bear with me for a second. SST straddle or hook, as we already talked about, and then this notion of trend continuation. So I've actually covered these basic concepts several times here, and then we're gonna apply it on some charts in just a minute. So concept number 2 is looking for successively higher or lower SST ticks. So let me just go look at see if I can find a chart here and jump ahead, because I don't want to drive you crazy that we're not getting to some nitty gritty. Let me see if I can find a chart. I think actually, I don't even know where these charts are, guys. I hope I didn't lose a chart. So this is what the SST looks like. I'm just going to jump ahead here for a minute so I don't lose you. When you see successive SSTs moving in a direction that are beneath the bars, you tend to get trend continuation. Yeah, tend to get trend continuation. If you get a tick in the bar, 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 the market will tend to continue in that direction. Yeah. There's another concept that we're working with here that's called the smart super trend hook, where you see a prior SST, this one's cyan SST, and the market comes down and it trades on both sides of it and then trades higher. Yeah, it hooks it, or straddles it, as I'll sometimes call it. Yeah, and so you can actually just completely understand what the market is doing from this kind of a viewpoint. Yeah. And then the final thing that we're going to cover is an SST open zone. Once this guy gets broken, there's no more SSTs until you get all the way down into here. So you know you got 15, 20 ticks to go before you start getting into prior order flow. Yeah. So with that being said, let me go back here to the second concept, and we'll just work through these concepts, and then we're going to go get down to some more nitty-gritty on that again. So you have higher or lower successive SSTs. We just covered that. Yeah. And then successive SSTs that are indicative. When you get that, it's indicative of a trend. Yeah, just keeps going up, keeps going up, keeps going up, keeps going up, and until that prior one gets broken, it's intact. That's how I originally came up with the name for this, because in the beginning we just used this for like trailing stops. And then as we developed it, we started finding out there are very high probability kinds of patterns that were happening where it was testing and trading back away in the original direction as a trend continuation pattern on these tick marks. Yeah. So the SST ticks on the chart on reversal bars can be a signal. Yeah. And this is something that I call adding. If you're getting that with another signal, like there's a signal that we use in our rooms, is just our bread and butter pattern. If you get what's called a T2 pattern, where the momentum is inclined to continue with the trend, it's a trend continuation kind of momentum pattern, and you get this SST hooking at the same time, the probability for continuation starts adding with the original pattern. So you get basically you get like 80% twice, and then I'm going to cover in a minute, you're going to see a table that's going to show you how you can use those kinds of things to know in advance what is the probability that the market's going to continue in the original direction. Yeah. Once you get an SST that's outside the bar and it's formed, it becomes a support or resistance area. Yeah. And so these little tick marks inside and outside the bars are showing you what the market's trying to do. And it'll just follow along with it all day long. And you just keep reevaluating as it goes. So if you get successive tick marks outside the bar, you can also look at a really good pattern is where they happen in progressively smaller intervals. It shows super strong momentum of the order flow. And so we already know that order flow leads price, but when you get order flow acceleration, it leads price even more, or tends to. Yeah. And then this notion of trapping the order flow, and this is where you'll get a higher tick in a dropping sequence, and I'm going to show you that on a chart in a little bit. Okay. Concept number 3 is the hook or the straddle, and we've already covered that a couple of times. That's where the price bar goes through. If the market's coming up, the price will go through the SST tick mark and then trade back in the original direction as a pretty darn high probability trend continuation pattern. And I'm going to show you some statistics on this kind of stuff in a little bit that shows you how well it works. When the SST is encompassed or straddled or hooked by a bar going with the original trend, it's a form of a trap and is a continuation pattern. And this can be just a standalone method. Yeah, I have systems that's all it does. That's all it has to do. Once an SST is straddled, it becomes a trap. Yeah, especially with the trend. And then the other one that we're covering here is the tick in the bar. Yeah, where it gets the tick in the bar. It's about 90% to continue on that. And that's also a standalone method. We've got guys in our trading room that trade that. When they get a tick in a bar, as long as there's some expectation for range expansion, they trade those. Yeah. That's pretty fun because it's usually the trades with that kind of thing just less than a minute. Yeah, quick pop kind of stuff. Yeah. So first occurrences may have a better risk reward profile. When I show you this in a little bit on a chart, I'm just going to do the first occurrences, but you're going to see that it also works well on second, third, and fourth occurrences. So just as a side note, in NinjaTrader that I'm going to show you this on, the bar, it cannot plot those in NinjaTrader 7 historically. In NinjaTrader 8, it can in tick replay mode. Yeah. And then again, the concept money management or trade entry. Well, if you're already in the trade, these patterns that I'm showing you may warrant holding the trade, particularly the tick and bar pattern. If you're looking to enter, the probability is high, and you can use it in conjunction with other factors like I already mentioned, probability stack. Yeah. When you're firing a trade and there's no SST opposing the movement in the direction of the trade, or there's enough room to move in to a reasonable target, then that's called room to grow. Yeah. And it's also a form of an open zone for those of you who are familiar with trading zones. Yeah. So there's room for the trade to develop with no opposing high level order flow. Such situations can be probability adding scenarios as well. Yeah. So if you're getting ticks and bars, higher order flow in bar, and it's into an open zone, or it's already into an open zone, then you get probability stacking very often. Yeah. So order flow tends to lead price, as we said. What it shows you is what a pure price action trader can't see just by looking at a chart. What else is cool about this stuff? You could use stuff like, I spent a bajillion hours trying to learn this kind of stuff years ago. A lot of traders are using things on their chart like price ladders, for example. Price ladder is going to put 43,000 numbers on your chart, and personally, I find that very difficult to deal with because I can't look at 400 numbers all at the same time and deal with that rationally or intuitively or otherwise. So what this does is it finds the point for you and it just puts it on there. Yeah, no messing around. And I found as I gotten older, I want less and less and less and less things on the chart. So you'll see on the charts that we're going to do in a little bit, there's like basically nothing on the charts, just price action and order flow on the chart with the indication. Yeah, super simple. In fact, in all my decades of developing trading systems, I've never seen one that stood the test of time that wasn't simple. Yeah, the very best trading systems are super simple. There's not 500 rules to it. It's just the market's doing this, go. Yeah, so I've done lots and lots of webinars. You can see the webinars page on our website if you want, for webinars that cover different metrics of order flow and these other kinds of concepts. Yeah, if you want to get into some probability stacking kinds of situations. With SST concepts, you can see even more of what you cannot see by looking at a chart due to the context it provides. So that goes back to this context notion. The SST tick marks are, like if they're forming on both sides, you're trapping. Yeah, it's forming a box with the SST ticks encompassing the price. You don't want to be trading where the tick marks are encompassing the price. You want to be trading into an open zone with a trap below or a trap above. Yeah, so it can tell you when you're kind of trapping out and when it's you're in consolidation, therefore, and when it's a little bit better to be waiting for the market to show its hand. Yeah, instead, because when you've got order flow, strong order flow signals on both sides of the market, that's telling you that 50% are long, 50% are short. I want to trade long when 70, 80 or more percent of the traders are wanting to get long. And that gets into concepts about the trend, and we'll talk about that in that too. I made a slide for you on that. With smart super trend concepts, you can see even more, which you can't see while looking at a chart, by the context, as mentioned, and lead outs in order flow tend to lead price movement. So the order flow is pushing. Yeah, the order flow is pushing. If you're trading in the early part of the day before the range expansion period is complete, you'll have that target pulling, and you get this pushing. So you also get stacking with that. The market's on a mission to a certain price level, and the order flow is telling me it's safe to trade into that direction for that expansion. So actually, this statistic here came from a room member who's done a ton of research on this kind of stuff. But trend in general adds up to 20% or more in favor of your trade. Yeah. So what is that? Well, trading with the trend is a form of trading into an open zone. Now that's one way of looking at it. But what is 20%? Adds up to 20% probability. Well, that's 20% above random, so it's 70% that is adding, or more. I'm giving the conservative number. So once that trend develops, it'll tend to continue until the range expectations are met or more. Yeah, and so it's nice to have that on your side, particularly when you're just learning trading. Yeah, counter trend trading is cool, but it's much easier to learn to trade with the trend first, in my experience. Yeah. So trend trading can be purely structurally determined, or you can use things like smart price bands. There was a discussion in the last webinar about using moving averages and things like that. And I think the tools that we use, our smart price bands, are tested over long periods of time and just tens of thousands of hours of member usage and application. So we know what works pretty well and where it doesn't. But you can do it just purely in terms of the price action, but you can also use simpler things that get away from the price action, like the price bands or the SST patterns that we've already talked about. Yeah, you've got successive tick marks going in a given direction. Yeah. And you can also look at it in different time intervals or time dimensions. So you look like, we use what's called a smart Renko chart. We look at a 10 smart Renko, and we can see we got statistics. There's a 89% that it's continuing in the upward direction, and then you're getting a signal at the same time on a 5-brick chart, and you get probability stacking with that kind of stuff. So what is this probability stacking I'm talking about? There's a Methodist minister by the name of Reverend Bayes, and he was trying to solve some problems with some stuff that he was working on, and he came up with this thing called, what's now called Bayes' theorem. Bayes' theorem and the thinking behind it is utterly critical to designing just the penultimate trading systems. because unlike normal kinds of statistical methods, it's telling you what is the probability of two things over lining up in time, or maybe they're sequential, but if they're lining up in time, two things that have a known outcome, if both of them have a 75% probability, there's a 90% that it's following through. In other words, these things are adding. And that was the work of Reverend Bayes. And this is life-changing kind of stuff, even though it's just like super simple. Yeah, two 90% probabilities stacked to 99. Yeah, two 90s is 99. So what happens if you get three of these guys? If you go 90, 99, it's over 100%. Well, it's not over 100% because you can't have over 100%. But if you get 375, so let's say you've just got, we don't even mess with it. We just go, well, all signals are 75. Yeah. So if I can count on my fingers, okay, I got 1, 2, 3 things here lining up. We had one today. I think there were 5 things all lined up. So you get 75, 75, 75, 75, 75 all at the same time. Well, what's the probability that thing's going to follow through? Well, I can pretty much assure you it's up in here. Yeah. And so this is probability stacking. It's not something I came up with. It's not a pipe dream. There are major players out there using this kind of technology. And the thing is, it's so super simple, it's crazy. Yeah. So, you know, if you get the SST hook pattern that we're going to look at in a minute, along with ticks and bars in an open zone, pretty good chance you're up in the 96th percentile. Yeah, for continuation. Yeah. So these tools that we're talking about here, the Smart Supertrend, other tools, they output a series that can be used for coding and other software, like for example, shark indicators, bloodhound, or blackbird, etc. So we have a guy that's trading with our new sister site, futuresautotrading.com. Over the last 1.2 months, he's up over $37,000, and he's using the SST as part of his strategy. I'm going to give you a link in a while. You can go check that out if you're inclined. Yeah, 37,566 using these kinds of concepts that we're talking about. Yeah, in the last 1.1 months. Yeah. So why would I show you that? Well, number one, I'd love to have you on board with the trading program, but also just proof of concept. Yeah. You know, I'm not blowing hot air here. That's a real deal there. That's not a made up track record or anything like that. That's a bona fide track record from the exchange. Yeah. So let's cover the rules for tick and bar. Trade the first occurrence of a tick mark that's inside the bar, not at the edge of the bar. It's inside the bar. Yeah, on a continuation bar, on the Smart Renko bars that we're going to look at in a second here. You've got big bars and you got little bars. The little bars we call them continuation bars, and the big bars we call them reversal bars. Yeah, and so if you get a tick in the bar, not at the edge of the bar, but in the bar, look for continuation in the direction of the bar. Yeah. All in any directions, up, down, trend, counter trend is marked. Yeah, I just told you should trade with the trend. I'm just going to mark it all. Yeah, and show them all to you. So also consider trading with the trend, which is, you know, we just covered that a minute ago. So that being said, and we'd already looked at this chart, these are all the tick and bar scenarios. Yeah. So tick and bar, tick and bar. This pattern right here where you get 2 reversal bars with a tick and bar next to it, super high probability. Yeah, you got a tick and bar right there, a tick and bar with double reversals next to it, continuation. Yeah, where's your next tick and bar? Over here. Yeah, continuation. Yeah, it goes its intended amount. I could have set a super tight stop to take me out of that, but I leaves a runner on there. Yeah. It comes down at tick and bars again. It does the double reversal thing and continues. Am I counting tick and bars on the big bars? No, I'm not. I'm only counting the tick and the bar on the continuation bar, and I only mark the first occurrences of it. Yeah. So this is the first time it occurred. I didn't mark that one. I didn't mark that one. I didn't mark that one. Then I got double reversals and I marked that one. I didn't mark that one. Could have, but I didn't. Could have. Here's one right here, you know, and that gets out of that trade over in here. And then we got another first one right there. I marked like a whole week worth of these things. I don't need to do like 20,000 years of data on this or anything because we use this in our trading rooms every day. This happens to be on the E-mini S&P, okay? Happens to be on the E-mini S&P. So the test is ES, Smart Renko, 4-brick chart. This is what we're talking about. And first occurrence only on the continuation bar. I'll take 5 ticks, 10 ticks, 20 ticks. Yeah. And then once it goes 6 ticks, I've set a break-even stop there. Yeah. So it's 96% to the first one, 93% to the second target, 93% to the third target. And just a couple few days on this. But this number might be a little bit higher than what I'd expect. In general, like I said, about 90, in the ES, 86 to 90% follow through with this particular pattern. On crude oil, it's pretty steady 90%. Yeah, 89, 90% right in there. Yeah. So that's the tick and bar pattern, just super simple. What's it telling you? Going back to the chart, it's telling you that there's strong order flow inside the bar and it wants to continue. So if I'm long right here, let's say I get long right here and I get that tick in the bar, I'm just saying, oh, goody, right? I'm just saying goody. Yeah. And so that's the pattern. Yeah. So next one that we're going to cover. And thanks for bearing with me through all the groundwork to talk about this. Trade SST straddles or hooks, as I said, I call them, where any reversal bar encompasses the last most recent one. Yeah. We today, this last week, covered this in the trading room over and over again. It can be a little bit tough to get your wrap your brain around it. I did this in both directions. I much rather do this just with a trend, but I marked them in both directions for your pleasure. So you get a tick mark that's outside the bar on a green bar, yeah, right there, and then I break it and I hook it, yeah. Well, pretty good chance it's going higher, yeah. Pretty good chance it's going higher. I got one outside the bar right here, yeah. So the direction is down. It's a red tick on a red bar, yeah. And we come up and we take it out and we sell right there. And if you don't set a stop way too tight, you know, if you set the stop way too tight, that might be a little bit of a problem. So don't do that. And nice trade. Yeah. There's one right there. There's a red tick mark on a red bar. We break through it and we hook back through it. Boom. Yeah. There were no SST tick marks, so there's no strong order flow in here. There's a pretty good chance that these bars happen real quick, which means there's a hole, there could be a hole in the order book right there. So I call that easy come, easy go. If you go boom, 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 you can go boom, 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 right back to where you started pretty quick. Yeah. Where's the, I got a tick mark right here, the red tick mark on a red bar. I take it out by 1 tick, and this is the pattern that I had mentioned I was going to tell you about. If you get a tick that's just a 1 higher than that, and then reverse, that's a really good pattern as well. You don't need to have that tick mark there. If you broke that tick mark by 1 tick and then reverse, you got the pattern. You have it right here again. Yeah. Boom. Yeah. Boom. Here you didn't tag that cyan one. There are other bar types where you get like 100 of these signals a day. Yeah. How about this guy right here? Did it take it out? There you got the lower tick mark there, and you can just fire that. Yeah. The market comes up and it tags through that last one, the red one on the red bar, and hooks it, and then it comes back lower again. So this is actually predicting the that mark is predicting the trend reversal. Yeah, predicting the trend reversing. Yeah, and so that's the SST straddle strategy. Now, if you combine that with something like the momentum indication, what we call our T2 pattern, and you get that along with it, it's probability stacking. You know, you'll get even higher percentages. So I told you this this one's about 90%. I did this one on the ES. This is coming in at about 88% for just basic continuation. Same criteria. On the ES, I probably should have taken targets at 4, 8, and 16 or something, but I didn't. You know, and you know, tested this for a couple days on a 3 lot, and you can see the result there. SST straddle. And this is happening because you're playing pinball with the order flow that's occurring in the market. You don't need to have 5,000 numbers on your screen or anything like that. Super cool. You know, super simple, super easy. Now, what's on that chart? Not much of anything, just tick marks and price action. Yeah. I, you know, personally wouldn't want to just have just that. Although there are systems that I have that do just exactly what this is doing. Exactly what this is doing. You know, without needing anything else. But it's nice to get some probability stacking, so you throw other ingredients into your recipe. Okay, so then I promised you we'd cover the room to grow concept. Yeah, so you want to be aware of open SST zones. Yeah, it's much cooler if there's nothing hindering the movement, that there's nothing opposing it. So we work with this kind of concept all the time, and this goes back to like the Reverend Bayes theorem too. So let's say that you had 375s going in one direction, but you had 275s going in the other direction. Do you want to trade under that circumstance? Well, not really. I'd rather be trading where I don't have anything against and I have 375 stacked up. Yeah. So room to grow is one way of understanding that kind of thing. I don't have anything taking away or anything opposing or hindering the movement of price. What's another thing? I already brought this up in another way, and that is the market on mission to meet certain range projections? This is something that we do in our trading rooms every day with what we call a super map, or just using different kinds of predictions for how far the market is likely to go in a given interval of time or periods, 30-minute periods. Yeah. So all in any directions, up or down, trend, counter trend, marked. Yeah. And you know, like I said, you can throw other things into your recipe and make it a little tastier. Yeah. So when these indicators align with signals that we're showing here, you get probability stacking. Yeah. Probability stacking, probability stacking. The guy just keeps saying probability stacking. Yeah, what is that? That's where stuff lines up. Yeah, you got to learn to see it. So when I got that reversal bar right there, I don't have any SSTs beneath me to stop the movement. Yeah. How about this one right here? Is there anything to stop the movement? No. And I get the continuation bar. Is there anything to stop the movement here? Well, there's this guy down here. Yeah. There's this guy down here. But how far is it to go? Is it more than one bar? It is. So I'm willing to do it at more than one bar. Yeah. Then what does it do? It exceeds it by a bit, and then it hooks it. Is there anything to stop it going up? Nope. That was the easy come, easy go, I think, that we just talked about. Yeah, all these are the same chart, I think. Yeah. And so how about this guy right here? It's got that little tick mark right there. It hasn't quite gone through it yet. Yeah. Is that an open zone? Well, depends on how you want to interpret it. Yeah. If you've got strong signal right there, otherwise you can consider that. But you know, you got that tick mark right there. It only needs to go through it by one tick before you're in an open zone. Yeah. Now we come back here and we straddle that guy by a tick, and that's firing right there at the edge of it. So a true open zone is not going to have that right at the edge of the bar. Yeah. But you know, it is what it is. It's trading, and so here's Here's one where you straddled a little bit, and you've got about 5-6 ticks before you get to there. Is that an open zone? Sure. Yeah. Or if you only want to trade ones that are really big, is this an SST straddle right here? I think maybe it is. I'm not absolutely sure because I can't hover there, but that might be an SST hook to that tick mark right there. And if so, it's an open zone because it already broken that one. And I really like this kind of pattern where it's breaking one and hooking one. Yeah, it's breaking the opposing order flow already on signal and going through there. Yeah. You had a tick mark right here, so you don't get a straddle on that one over there. It doesn't count. You know, as of this bar right here, you have an open zone. Yeah. How about right here? Is that an open zone? There's no tick marks until you get way up here. Yeah. Totally open zone, totally open zone, totally open zone. So you have open zone with tick and bar, tick and bar, tick and bar. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you got a tick and bar right there. That tick and bar probability of about 90% stands on its own. But it does have that one against it, you know. So maybe you'd choose to wait for it to come back through, or maybe you wouldn't take it, or you know, whatever decision that you make. Yeah, tick and bar, double reversal on tick and bar, and open zone up here. Yeah. How about this kind of stuff? This is what I was talking about, where the where price is boxed inside the SST. You'd really rather wait for the order flow to get broken. Once the order flow breaks, you got a good idea of which side is dominating. You know, SST boxing. We call that boxing of the price action as well. At what point do you have an open zone? Right there. Yeah. So this is the room to grow concept. Actually, this name came from Steve. He runs our stock index trading room. He came up with this term, room to grow. And so we just use it because it's a really good term. There's room to grow. Yeah. Nothing more needs to be said. Yeah. So, okay. So we began this webinar discussing concepts behind you can structurally build a trading system using just the SST. And then we went and looked at specific applications. We looked at open zones or room to grow. We looked at tick and bar. We looked at SST hooks. And we also looked at having successive tick marks in a given direction. I had mentioned, see this stuff where you're getting, where you get 3 higher ticks and it's smaller? Yeah, I'd mentioned that a little bit earlier. This can be a viable pattern as well. I don't, you know, I've been doing this for a million years, and there are some things that are better than others. And that one doesn't really come into as good as these other things I'm showing you, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. But when you are seeing successive ticks in shorter interval, it is indicative of trend. Yeah. So, and so you can take these concepts and add them with, you know, anything you're doing. And you can even take the concepts that we're using in here with indicators that you're already using. We worked out a lot of the details for you because it's not really the indicator that makes you money, it's knowing how to use it. Yeah, it's knowing how to use it. That's the big thing. And so, you know, we've got tens of thousands of hours of using these things, of member usage in our trading room, which is essentially an open forum for the use of any tool for that matter. Yeah. And so it's just amazing how we've advanced with these kinds of things. Yeah. So always, and I didn't know this in the beginning when I first started developing trading systems close to 30 years ago or so, because you don't know, but you want to structure your system out of proven concepts. Well, that gets back to Bayes' theorem. If I know that I have something that works on a 75% or 80% or 89%, a lot of these things are 90%, 89%. if I know that that works on its own merit without regard to anything else, then I can use that as an input to Bayes. And if I've got another one that's uncorrelated to that, so what would be an example of that? Well, I've got one order flow, one momentum, and one price action, for example. That's 75, 75, 75. I'm using 75 even though the numbers may be way higher. Why? Because 75, 75 is 96% on Bayes. And so you know that things are working in your favor. And so the market's actually talking a language to you in relation to the kinds of things that we're talking about here. Yeah, it's actually speaking to you. And if you can kind of get that language under your belt a little bit, it can be really transformative for you. Yeah. So I always recommend that you make sure that you're building your trading systems and you're building your trading decisions on things that have known outcomes. Known outcomes. Super important. Yeah, super important. Because then you can get stacking. Yeah. We've been doing these things for so long. These kinds of things that I'm showing you, the number of occurrences that we've observed on these things are staggering. Yeah, tens of thousands of occurrences of observing these kinds of things. So very cool. So we've only scratched the surface of what I teach. Yeah. And if you want to learn some of the patterns and concepts that we've covered here in a little bit more detail, I lecture for a couple hours every day, 5 days a week, on full trading days in the trading room. And we cover all kinds of topics: trading, trading psychology, money management, other topics of interest to traders. So the applications that I teach can be used, as I said from the beginning. I use the ES in examples today. You can take the things that I'm teaching, they certainly apply to ES. They apply to crude oil, just about any market that has any reasonable volatility. Yeah. So I'm going to give you a resources page at the end of the webinar that'll tell you how to learn more about that a little bit. If you want to take it to an even higher level, you can get the tools. You know, indicatorsmart.com. This just tells a little bit about me, and I thank Ashley for covering that earlier. So this SST is one of the components of the Smart Pattern Trading System. What's a Smart Pattern Trading System? It breaks down the market into price action, momentum, order flow, and support resistance. What is that? Well, hopefully that's 375 inputs to your Bayes. Yeah, so panel 1 in the chart is the price action. Panel 2 in the chart is the order flow. Panel 3 in the chart is the momentum. And then support resistance, those are numbers that we compute and share in the room, or they're marked on our 30-minute chart, stuff like that. So you have 4 components that add together, and you know, I don't want to take anything less than about 85% win rate or so. And so those things combine together in a form of probability stacking. And you just go with the way the market's expressing itself. Yeah. So it can be put together in any number of combinations. Yeah. And that's what's cool about it, is it's modular, and you can find your own holy grail within that framework. Yeah. Works in any reasonably volatile market. Bajillions of hours of member usage and feedback. And so I teach specific applications of that in our trading room. And so you can go there and learn a little bit more about that if you vibe with what we're doing. So I'd mentioned earlier, we've got a guy with a trading program there that is using these kinds of concepts that we're talking about. I saw somebody put in the chat here, I'm worried it's too good to be true. Well, he was trading a lot of size, and so that's how he was able to achieve that. Yeah, that's how he was able to achieve that, trading very aggressively with a lot of contracts. Yeah, so it's not a matter of too good to be true. It's just a matter of a lot of contracts. Yeah, so I've made a resources page for you, indicatorsmart.com SST. Yeah, let me copy that. And let me see. I'll paste it in here. And this just has, oh, thanks, Ashley. Yeah, and so that that goes right to that thing. Yeah. So that's my presentation. Let me see any questions that anybody might have asked. Yeah, so indicatorsmart.com SST, that covers some of the tools that were referenced in the webinar here. Yeah, and gives you some other resources. My mentoring is now done through the oil trading room, John. I used to do one-on-one, and the trading room, actually the benefit is that you get the resources of the other members. We've got members in our room that are some of the most exceptional traders I've ever seen. Actually, the most exceptional traders I've ever seen, and they help you as well. So you get multiple mentorships in a membership there. So if you thought that you had a risk reward that's negative, Damien, then these things that we're talking about wouldn't apply, because that would be an input to your consideration. Yeah, yeah. If you've got a negative expected outcome, yeah. So that really shouldn't be a problem. But if you've got things against and you're not comfortable with it, just don't take the trade. Why? Because there's about 20 trades a day set up on a 5-break chart. On some days, as many as 60 or 70. You know? So if you want to learn more about the thing at with our traders, these traders are from our trading room. You know, they're using these methods. And go to futuresautotrading.com. There's a link. Yeah, there's a link on the resources page there. So just go indicatorsmart.com SST, and you should be able to find that. So I usually don't do a product specific webinar, but the advances that we've made with this tool recently are just utterly staggering. One of our top traders in the room said the other day, I never could have imagined what we've achieved in the last couple months. And so I also recently had the SST rebuilt from the ground up. It's actually 1,000 times faster. Yeah, it's 1,000 times faster. The thing just cooks. And then these things with the ticks and the bars and the tick outside the bars, it just turns this indicator into a language unto itself. So it's really cool, and I just wanted to share it. Like I said, I usually don't do an indicator-specific webinar, but the concepts that we covered, again, going back to the beginning, the concepts that we've covered here are applicable to anything. So if you can wrap your brain around the kind of thinking that's going on here, this webinar is worth its weight in gold, yeah, in my opinion. I could be wrong. No, Thinkorswim can't do this because, and actually they contacted me. We were at the stage of signing an agreement with them. Their software cannot do what we do. It can't do this stuff. It cannot. But I'm pretty sure that you can run. I'm pretty sure that you can run NinjaTrader on TD Ameritrade, if you want. Yeah. So you can get a NinjaTrader download off of our website for free, and I'm pretty sure you can clear on your TD Ameritrade account. So that's your Thinkorswim. Yeah. So TIB is just this SST. So go to indicatorsmart.com SST, and the first link on there is a smart super trend. You can learn about that. Yeah. So hopefully that covers it. It's Friday, and I don't work on the weekends. So I'll be around for a little while longer because I need to clear up all my weekend stuff. But if you have any questions, send me an email and I'll make sure you're covered by Monday. Yeah. All right, guys, that's what I got for you. Ashley, thanks for having me for the webinar. Does anybody have any questions before I go? Did you guys like this webinar? Did you learn something? Did you get anything out of it? Yeah. Oh, only equities? Yeah. I'm not sure, Nicholas. You'd have to check with them, but I actually saw on the Ninja Trader, I think I saw a TD Ameritrade thing on the data feed. Yeah, so I don't know for sure. You guys would have to check. Yeah, so we're a serious trading room. Oh, you want to try what out? You want to try what out? Try a trading room. Oh, trading room? No, I don't. I don't do trials for the trading room. We're serious business in there, and so if you're going to come in and we're going to help you out, just get on board with it. Yeah, I found too many people just kicking tires, and I end up spending a ton of time helping them. And so you don't. If you have any question that you want to learn what we're doing, make a commitment in advance that you're going to do that based on what your sense of me as a somebody who might be able to show you a couple things. But I just found we just don't have riffraff in our trading. Nobody quits. Everybody stays.
Right on.
And,
So it's okay. I'm going to drop your
uh,
email address
that's
inside the chat
kind
box
of
here for everybody
environment
for
that it
you.
is. And like I said, you've got access to some astounding traders in there. So. All right, guys, that's what I got for you. Ashley, again, thanks for having me. Yeah, that's my email address. If you need to contact me directly, you can also use the form mail on the website. But
Great.
thanks again.
Thank you so much,
for
Rob.
having
You can hear me okay?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Have a super weekend, guys.
Thanks, Rob. Can you hear me okay? All right, thanks. Thanks so much. Wonderful. We'll get you to stop sharing your screen there for a quick second and we'll wrap things up. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. Thank you so much. Wow, what a jam-packed day that was. Lots to learn from everybody. Thank you. So to end our day off with everybody, just a few things to be reminded about that the event was being recorded. So I am going to send out the recording tomorrow morning. So just keep an eye out for that. As well, I did get everybody's links too from the webinars, so we'll be able to send out the links as well for all of the offers and the email addresses and the websites for all of the speakers that took place today. So if you missed anything there, we'll be able to send that out for you. So don't worry about that at all. I just want to thank everybody for participating in the Wall Street Influencers Trading Summit today. I truly hope that you were able to get even just one nugget from one of the speakers, right? It could really help your trading journey along the way. And if you do need any help, you can get in touch with us. My email address is info@wallstreetinfluencers.com. I am going to drop that in the chat box so that you have that as well. If you need anything, feel free to give us a ring. Send me an email. I'll be able to assist you, as well as keep an eye out. Our next event is coming up on November the 7th, and we'll be hosting our next event. That's on a Saturday. We've already got half the lineup already secured in for that event, so we're getting really excited for that one too. And here at Wall Street Influencers, we're a trading summit for traders of all levels to be able to learn the industry experts from different industry experts about trading software systems, strategies, and much more. So thanks everybody for joining us and happy trading.